Welcome back to the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. So before I jump into this video, of course, I got to do what I always do, and that's welcome those of you who are new to the channel. This is the Angry Man podcast here on Sports Media, where we're always dropping boxing-related content. So make sure that you become a subscriber. And for those of you who are regular patrons of the channel, you know who we are. Jason and Greg, the Angry Man podcast. Make sure you hit the like or dislike button if you don't like the content. Now, this is an interesting one, and I need to take my time on this. I'm going to play a clip from their episode. It's a chopped up clip that they actually put up. It's the Boxing Source, and they have Two-Tone on there. And surprisingly, I guess maybe unsurprisingly, they have Bomac on there as well. And, you know, Two-Tone brings up Jaron Ennis, and, Bomac essentially snaps. And, really loses all just composure as a part of this whole conversation, which I thought is interesting. There's a couple of things that, I would say. I think Two-Tone has some good points. I think Bomac had a good point. And I want to play this clip quickly, and I want to react to it because I want to break down exactly why there's a good point and why there's not a good point. And it's interesting because it's also something that we touched on our live stream that we did this past Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do it every Sunday, so make sure you check it out. But let me play this clip here. It's roughly, bear with me, it's roughly 3 minutes. And the gentleman that is crashing out is actually Bomac.
You're sad, brother. You're sad. You ain't no boxing fan. You're a straight hater. You're a straight hater.
Y'all don't want to fight Boots. I'm sad because y'all ducking Boots. How am I sad because y'all ducking Boots?
And one thing that you said that I don't like, oh, Bud, get him at the right time, or Bud, get him at the right time. Well, come on, man. It's about who available.
You said he fight who available. Jaron Ennis available.
How many times Bud done told y'all Boots and turned the fight down? Why you want to go back? Why is Bud got to go back and go?
I want Bud Crawford to complete the Mayweather trifecta and give a hungry young lion an opportunity.
Bud got to a point to where he can do what he want to do. He can do what he want to do. He can fight who he want to fight. He can go fight fucking. He can go fight your ass next week and still get paid.
Y'all turn into the very thing that y'all hate. Y'all turn into the very thing that y'all hate. When Bud Crawford was on the lower scale, y'all was saying, oh, they doing Bud wrong. Now that y'all at the top, y'all doing the same shit that y'all hate.
What else Bud got to prove in this game? What else do we got to prove in this game?
A hungry young lion?
He didn't have them. He didn't gave all those guys.
Who?
He gave those guys the opportunity, but those guys passed it up. Boots had his chance. Boot had his chance to make some good money. Had his chance. He had his chance. The hell with him.
Coach, didn't Earl spin the block again? Didn't Earl spin the block again? With Bud.
With who? Who he spin the block with? Who he spin the block with?
With Bud.
Bud walked up to him and challenged him. What are you talking about? Bud walked up to him and challenged him and said, I want you. What are you talking about, brother?
But Bomac, he talking about when Bud specifically walked away and went to fight Avanesian.
Okay, so I think that's enough of what was played there. And I think to a certain extent, both sides have points. I'm going to start with Bomac and why I feel that Bomac has a point. Terence Crawford has reached a crescendo, if you will, or he reached a pinnacle of the sport where I think he can, to a certain degree, be more selective in terms of who he fights, right? I mean, that's fine. I mean, and to the point that he's also making, Terence Crawford doesn't necessarily have a whole lot else to prove in the sport. So I agree with him on those counts. I also agree with him in terms of making the statement that Terence Crawford really circled the block back to Errol Spence. That's a misnomer. He didn't circle the block. Errol didn't circle the block back to Crawford after Avanesian. Crawford circled the block back to Errol Spence after Avanesian. So we got to be fair when we say these things, right? Here's where I have an issue with what Bomac is saying. these guys, these young guys had their number one. Terence Crawford has not fought a young guy, right? A young up and coming guy like Mayweather has. That's not happened. But then number two, the comment about Jaron Ennis had his opportunity to fight Terence Crawford. I would argue that that's not true. They keep going back to this BLK Prime situation. And in reality, if you look at BLK Prime, when was the last time you saw any event put on from BLK Prime? BLK Prime does not put on any events anymore. And it's for a reason. They don't have the funds. They didn't have the resources to put on a Jaron Ennis versus Terence Crawford fight to begin with. They were looking to play intermediary to actually make a fight and didn't bring any resources to the table. So there was no fight unless Showtime was actually going to pay for it. Okay. So let's squash that. My other comment to this and people talking about and Bomac saying that these young fighters had their opportunity, to hell with them. Just because a fighter doesn't agree to fight with you today doesn't mean that forever and a day you don't have to fight that opponent. That makes no sense whatsoever. There could be a number of different circumstances that impact the reason why a fighter didn't fight you today, and he might fight you tomorrow. Okay, and I'm going to use this as an example because I think it resonates with people. Shakur Stevenson had the option to fight Devin Haney. It was for much less than he wanted. I think it was a 25-75 split or something like that. He chose to bypass that particular situation because it was not advantageous from his perspective, from a business standpoint. That does not forever in a day disqualify Shakur Stevenson from fighting Devin Haney. Devin Haney can't use in like if Shakur were to move up to 147, Devin Haney can't use that you had the chance to fight me, you didn't. So forever on, rest your peace. You don't get the opportunity to face me anymore. That is hogwash. Okay? So I am cool with Terence Crawford making a different choice in terms of next opponent if that different choice yields him more money than he would ever make versus Jaron Ennis. Fine. I completely get that. If Jaron Ennis isn't the biggest money fight for Terence Crawford, then why would he take that fight? I totally understand that and would agree with Bomac if that is the case. However, if Jaron Ennis is his biggest money fight, meaning Turki Al-Sheikh is willing to pay a sum of money that he would not pay anybody else for a Jaron Ennis fight for Terence Crawford, then Terence Crawford, if he's going to stay in the sport, it makes sense. Going and collecting belts at 160, nobody cares. They don't care like, oh, you're now 4-time undisputed. People don't care about that because the competition dictates exactly what it is that the level of status that people give you. And if the people at 160 don't have the level of status that would really elevate you from your current stance, then what's the point? But now, if that's his biggest payday, then by all means, go and do it. So it really just depends on the circumstances. Now, I know people are going to be in the comment section saying, I'm hating on Bud. They're not going to listen to the context of this because if you're not meat eating their favorite fighter, then of course you are a hater. But this is a logical stance that I'm taking. I'm perfectly fine with Terence Crawford saying Jaron Ennis is not in my purview. I'm not interested in him unless that's his biggest fight that he can make in terms of money. And then then it no longer makes sense. Don't tell me about what he has done and what he hasn't done and he doesn't deserve a shot and he did this before. I don't want to hear it. If that's your biggest payday and people want to see it, you should take the fight. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section in regards to this back and forth. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast in Sports Media, and I am out.